So I want to just put up a poll. This shows congressional vote preference. This was at the end of January, so just a few weeks ago. Of all voters, Democratic candidate preference at 52, GOP candidate at 46. We've got a long way to go, but obviously that number would not be good for the majority.
That would not be good.
Republicans are facing a growing reality check heading into the 2026 midterm elections later this year. The party's base, they're not showing up, even in areas that were reliably pro-Trump just 2 years ago.
The fact that he says more Americans are working today than in the history of our country, when we just saw 1 million jobs revision down for 2025. It was a quote unquote, strong jobs number, 155,000, 161,000, still far below where Biden was. I don't think it is going to get it done.
Recent reporting from Axios shows rising GOP concern over voter turnout and performance in early special elections, with Democrats outperforming their 2024 numbers by double-digit margins in dozens of state races, a sign of a growing enthusiasm gap that could translate to November. See, in special elections this year, Democratic candidates have beaten their 2024 baseline by an average of 10.5 points in 20 state legislative contests, and even more, 13.9 points in more than 60 races last year, tracked by the down ballot.
That's exactly right. Texas 9, because what happened in Texas 9? It didn't just swing to the left. It took a rocket ship to the left. My goodness gracious, the Texas 9 Senate District election marches. This was a district that Donald Trump won by 17 points in 2024. The Democratic candidate in the special election on Saturday, won it by 14 points. That's an over 30-point shift to the left. Any Republican, unlike Ron DeSantis, who doesn't take this seriously, they should realize that this is very perilous. They ignore this result at their own peril. Ron DeSantis is right to say, hey, special elections can be quirky, but this ain't no quirk.
Congressman Pete Sessions from Texas basically told me, he said, no Democrat should ever win in North Texas like this. Although he also said, there was an ice storm, 31 points. That's not an ice storm.
No, that ain't no ice storm. If you ignore this, you're going to ice yourself out of a majority come the midterm.
All right, when we look at these special elections, and this is something you and I talk about a lot and look at very closely in between the federal elections, what can they tell us?
Okay, so, you see this 31-point shift to the left, right? If this were just one election, that would be one thing. But it's the slew of special elections that together paint a picture, and it's a picture that Democrats should love and a picture that Republicans should be really worried about. Because what are we talking about here? Okay, the average 2025, 26 special election, Democrats are doing, get this, 12 points better. 12 points better than Kamala Harris did in 2024. That was a state special election that happened in Texas on Saturday. If you look at the federal special elections, this 12 points is actually north of 15 points on average. I was looking back through the history books. This looks a whole heck of a lot like what we saw during the 2017-2018 cycle, where you saw these Democrats outperforming how Hillary Clinton did in 2016. And what did it forecast? It forecast a net gain of 40 seats for Democrats.
And by the way, some of the most startling results have came in areas that were once considered safe Republican areas. We remember back in January in North Texas, a Democrat won a state Senate seat by 14 points in a district that Trump carried by 17 points in 2024. In South Louisiana, Democrats scored a 24-point landslide in a district that Trump won by 13 points 2 years ago. And the thing is, this is important too. Even when Republicans win, the margin slippage is stark. A previous 58-point win in rural Oklahoma shrank dramatically. And these aren't just isolated local figures, right? They are indications that Trump-aligned turnout is faltering. And don't take it from me, Republican operatives themselves are openly acknowledging what they've called a, quote, sleepy GOP base, and fired up Democratic turnout as a source of internal alarm. I mean, when Laura Ingraham is warning about it on Fox News, you know that the GOP should be worried.
It doesn't matter. I mean, this is a two-party town. People are going to show up and they're going to vote either for Donald Trump's party or for the people who are running in opposition. You say we don't have a leader of the party. And I thought Eric Swalwell, missed opportunity. Mikey Sherrill is the leader of the party. Abigail Spanberger is the leader of the party. And we do have a message. It's affordability, however it shows up in your state or your district. So in New Jersey, you're talking about energy costs. In Virginia, you're talking about building more affordable housing and cutting red tape. And you are seeing this, and props to you guys actually for being so reasonable about this, because sometimes you feel like Republicans don't want to admit that there are any problems. Another shout out to my colleague who isn't here, but you see people
saw
like
Laura Ingraham last night.
I literally, the midterms look ugly right now unless Republicans really get serious, from Laura Ingraham. And it's a waste of Republicans' time to worry about us. I see all these stories like Dems in disarray. 68% of Americans say their financial situation's getting worse. 65% say that Donald Trump isn't lowering their cost of living, focused elsewhere. And the Democratic lead on the generic ballot is getting into blue wave, possibly tsunami territory, because there's no plan. ACA subsidies extension, 70% approval rating. Donald Trump tries to do it. And the caucus says, actually, no, we don't want to do that. We'll just have no healthcare plan for the rest of time.
And the skepticism runs deeper than turnout numbers. If you look at polling, it shows that Republican confidence in Trump's leadership and policy agenda has dipped even among his own supporters, with fewer Republicans saying they support most of Trump's plans compared to the previous year. Factor in separate surveys that show expanded Democratic leads on the generic congressional ballot, with Democrats ahead roughly 58% to 46%, and you see there's a structural problem for GOP prospects. There's a momentum disadvantage outside of typical election cycles. And it's not just that Democrats are outperforming, right? Trump's own base is voting less relative to their 2024 turnout, particularly in low-profile races where turnout is often a strong indicator of broader midterm engagement.
Will you trust the results of the midterms if Republicans lose control of Congress?
I will, if the elections are honest. Look, I want the last one that wants to complain. I just had a great election. They say one of the greatest elections, you will agree, ever. Won all 7 swing states. Won 84% of the counties in America. That's why the map is all red. We just had a great election. I believe there was cheating. I think there was cheating.
Well, speaking of county.
Yeah, one quick one on the U.S. economy. We hear from the administration about the growth and the potential growth in Q1, Q2, and what they see on the horizon. We asked, are you better off financially than a year ago? Better 24%, worse 39%, same 36%. It is what we've talked about numerous times about feeling where the economy is and what that means for people at home.
Yeah, as we look ahead to the midterms, Brett, people are going to be judging this election and the president's continuing standing on the basis of how well they feel the economy is going. There are signs, and some experts say that we're going to have a booming economy this coming year or this rest of this year, and certainly the administration certainly needs that because while the stock market is high and employment is relatively high, people do not feel good about this economy. This poll suggests that, and they haven't for some time, and it's not so far getting any better for them, which would be very dangerous for the Republicans in the midterm elections.
Yeah.
But even their own polling, GOP polling, and Fox News viewers who are being polled, it suggests that there is a real possibility that Republicans could struggle not just in House races, but in defending their ever so slim Senate majority too.
Oh my goodness gracious. Trump's economic net approval 1 year in among independents. In term 1, he was 10 points above water. Look at where he is today. Whoa, 43 points below water. That's a 53-point switcheroo. You can't win elections when on the number one issue you are 43 points below water among independents. This is just absolutely atrocious.
That's just a huge swing. All right, so what impact might that have on the midterms? People were looking at the Senate as being safe for Republicans. Is the Senate still safe?
It ain't safe. It ain't safe at all.
That should be a major cause for concern regarding this administration and the GOP as a whole. Because with Trump losing whatever magic he had, they could be in a dire state come the midterms.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.